the early 2020s, everyone thought they had Sydney Sweeney figured out. She was the it girl, the blonde bombshell from Euphoria, a talented actress who happened to be at the right place at the right time. But fast forward to 2026, and the landscape of Hollywood looks entirely different. And Sydney Sweeney isn't just standing in the center of it all, she's the one holding the remote. If you thought she was just another starlet riding a viral memes and fashion campaigns, you weren't paying attention. While everyone was busy talking about her looks, Sydney was busy building an empire. This isn't just a story about fame, it's a masterclass in strategic leverage. From the chaotic hallways of East Highland to the high-stakes boardrooms of 50/50 Films, this is how Sydney Sweeney systematically took over Hollywood and became the most powerful multi-hyphenate of 2026. But before we begin, don't forget to like the video to help it reach more people, and make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss any upcoming videos. To understand 2026 Sydney, we have to look back at the Euphoria effect. When she first burst onto the scene as Cassie Howard, she did something most actors fail to do. She became a cultural shorthand. But Sydney knew the shelf life of a prestige TV star is notoriously short. She saw the blonde bombshell archetype not as a cage, but as a Trojan horse. While her peers were waiting for their agents to call with the next Marvel role, Sydney was already scouting for IP. She realized early on that in the modern era, acting is a job, but producing is a career. She didn't want to be a pawn in someone else's cinematic universe. She wanted to own the board. The turning point wasn't just a single movie, it was a shift in philosophy. She leaned into the theatrical experience when everyone else was retreating to streaming. Remember 2024, when the industry was mourning the death of the rom-com? Sydney didn't just star in Anyone But You, she willed it into a global phenomenon through sheer marketing genius. She turned TikTok better than the studio executives twice her age. She turned a press tour into a narrative, a movie into an event, and a $25 million budget into a $200 million victory lap. That was the first real crack in the old Hollywood wall. It proved that Sydney Sweeney didn't need a franchise. She was the franchise. By 2025, her production company, 50/50 Films, wasn't just a vanity project with a desk and a logo. It became a powerhouse for mid-budget cinema, the kind of movies Hollywood forgot how to make. She started optioning books before they even hit the bestseller lists. She realized that if she controlled the material, she controlled the narrative. While other A-listers were complaining about the lack of complex female roles, Sydney was in the edit suite, ensuring her characters were flawed, messy, and undeniably human. She wasn't just looking for strong female leads, she was looking for ownership. Every time you saw her face on a poster, she wasn't just getting a paycheck, she was taking a cut of the back end. Now, here we are in 2026. The Sweeney Strategy is being studied by film students and MBA candidates alike. She has successfully bridged the gap between old-school movie star magnetism and new-age digital savvy. She didn't just survive the transition from TV to film, she redefined what a movie star means in a fractured post-streaming world. It's no longer about being untouchable, it's about being omnipresent. The real genius of Sydney's 2026 takeover lies in her mastery of the vertical integration of her own brand. Most actors treat their social media like a digital scrapbook, but Sydney treated it like a distribution channel. She bypassed the traditional gatekeepers and spoke directly to her audience. By 2026, her production house, 50/50 Films, isn't just making movies, it's creating ecosystems. When she produced and starred in her latest psychological thriller this year, she didn't just wait for the reviews, she orchestrated a 360-degree marketing blitz that integrated her fashion partnerships, her love for automotive restoration, which humanized her to a completely different demographic, and a relentless behind-the-scenes transparency that made fans feel like they were part of the journey. But let's talk about the risk factor. In 2026, Hollywood is terrified of risk. Studios are doubling down on sequels and reboots. Sydney did the opposite. She used her capital to fund the unfundable. She took on roles that were gritty, unglamorous, and technically demanding, effectively silencing anyone who tried to box her into the pretty girl category. She proved that she could carry a silent horror film just as easily as a high-octane action flick. This versatility made her indispensable. Directors aren't just hiring her for her name anymore, they're hiring her because she brings a built-in production machine with her. She's the rare talent who understands lighting, budgeting, and distribution as well as she understands her lines. And then there's the Sweeney aesthetic.
By 2026, she has successfully revived the concept of the mogul star. Think of the greats: Oprah, Reese Witherspoon, Margot Robbie. Sydney has joined that elite circle at a record pace. What sets her apart is her speed. She saw the vacuum left by the stars of the 90s and filled it with Gen Z urgency. She didn't wait for her turn. She realized that in the attention economy, if you're not building, you're fading. Her company's 2026 slate includes everything from indie darlings to high-concept sci-fi, and she's the executive producer on all of them. This isn't just about money, it's about power. By owning the IP, she's ensuring that her career isn't dependent on a studio head's whim. She's the one greenlighting the projects now. We also have to acknowledge the human element. In an era of AI-generated content and sanitized PR personas, Sydney's 2026 dominance is rooted in her authenticity, even the curated parts of it. She's been open about her financial struggles growing up, the rejection she faced early in her career, and the sheer grit it took to get here. This narrative resonates in 2026. People don't just want to watch her, they want to root for her. She turned her outsider status into her greatest strength. She's the girl who worked twice as hard because she knew nothing was guaranteed, and that work ethic is now the engine of a multi-million-dollar enterprise. As we look at the credits rolling in 2026, the industry has coined a new term, the Sweeney blueprint. It's no longer enough to just be a good actor. You have to be a brand, a financier, and a visionary. Sydney has fundamentally broken the starlet curse that haunted Hollywood for decades. She refused to be consumed by the machine, so she became the engine. By late 2026, 50/50 Films has signed a landmark first look deal that gives her creative autonomy rarely seen since the days of the old studio moguls. She's not just picking scripts, she's developing writers, discovering new directors, and proving that a woman in her late 20s can be the most formidable producer in the room. The most fascinating part of her 2026 dominance is her impact on the middle-class movie. For years, Hollywood only made $200 million superhero epics or $2 million indie dramas. There was nothing in between. Sydney filled that gap. She proved that audiences still crave smart, mid-budget, adult-oriented cinema. Whether it's a noir mystery or a high-stakes legal drama, she's brought back the matinee star power. She understood that if you give the audience quality stories with high production value and a relatable face, they will show up, not just on their phones, but in the theaters. But perhaps her greatest achievement in 2026 is her legacy of resilience. She took the hypersexualization that the internet tried to impose on her and flipped it. She used the attention to fund her brainchild projects. She took the memes and turned them into marketing gold. She took the skepticism of serious critics and answered it with award-winning performances. In 2026, Sydney Sweeney isn't just a star because of how she looks. She's a star because of how she thinks. She's a strategist who played the long game in a world obsessed with the short term. So what's next for the woman who conquered Hollywood in record time? As we move toward 2027, rumors are swirling about her directing her first feature film and expanding her empire into tech and lifestyle. But if there's one thing we've learned from watching Sydney's meteoric rise, it's this: don't try to predict her next move. She's already 3 steps ahead. Sydney Sweeney didn't just survive the Hollywood system, she dismantled it and rebuilt it in her own image. And in 2026, we're all just living in her cinematic universe. In a world of fleeting viral moments, Sydney Sweeney proved that substance, strategy, and sheer workhorse mentality are still the ultimate currencies. The girl from Spokane didn't just make it to Hollywood, she bought the town. And honestly, we're all just waiting to see what she greenlights next.
Thanks for watching to the end. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. I'll see you in the next one. Take care.